Welcome to Politely Pushy. I'm your host, as always, Eric Chummy. Eric Chummy. Politely Pushy. I'm Eric Chummy, and this is Politely Pushy. Welcome to Politely Pushy. I'm your host, as always, Eric Chummy. Today, we're talking about Mental Health Awareness Month. It is the month of May, so that's the month where there's so many more initiatives coming up. Companies are talking about what it means to help their employees, to help stay on track, to keep people emotionally resilient so they can keep doing their work and fundamentally enjoy what they're doing and do a good job at it, not quit, not burn out. So here we're joined by Jess Orsini, our fearless head of HR, who's got all the answers for us because she's solved mental health awareness for everybody. And Gabby Wright, one of our young mothers here with two small kids. So I'm sure you never have any issues, right? I'm sure you're never stressed out because your two kids always behave perfectly well when you're trying to get your work done in your home office. I feel like I've solved this, right? Isn't that right, Gabby? Everything's fine.
Yeah, everything's fine. I'm like Ross Geller from Friends. Like, it's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. I have my emotional support dumpster fire.
Wait, zoom in on that. Let's get that real close. That's great.
I don't know if you could see it.
That's
it
great.
says emotional support dumpster fire. It's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. So yeah, I mean, it's just part of the industry. Like, it's stressful. You can get burned out quickly, but I do think that Bospar does a great job of mitigating stress and anxiety as much as we can.
Did it change for you when you had kid one and then when you had kid two? Or was it, or do you just find a way to balance it? Or did it literally become like, my life is more stressful now?
Actually, I think it was more stressful going from not having kids to having my first kid. And I actually started working at Bospar when my youngest was only 2.5 months old. And that, for me, it took a little while to get used to working remotely and also just setting boundaries for myself and being able to really turn off work and be present with my family when I needed to. For me, that was actually harder than going from one kid to two kids. Now it's just added chaos, but I am more used to it. I'm more mature as a mom. So I think that has helped actually a lot.
Jess, what do you think about, Gabby mentioned the going remote, right? A lot of people, we all used to work in an office at some point in our life. Now we're remote. For me, I love it. It's better. I think it works better for my personality, but I think for other people's personalities, it's actually bad for them, right? It doesn't fit what they want to do and how they want to interact with people. Do you find that the stress, the mental health issues sort of hit different personality types when it's like, oh, this remote thing doesn't fit my, extroversion. I need to be out there talking to more people.
Absolutely. I don't think that fully remote is for everybody. And it's just very interesting that I've seen, because I started in this industry 20 years ago and where, remote wasn't even an option. It was 5 days a week in the office. And then things shifted and then COVID happened, of course. But at Bospar, it's been fully remote since the day it started. So it's always been that way. And it's something that it's interesting to me that even people in their early stages of their career haven't even stepped foot in an office before ever, which is fascinating to me because that's a different way of learning. And that is also a different way that you see and absorb stress. It's something that I ask people in interviews a lot is if they're comfortable working fully remote, and most are, that's why they're talking to us, but some will ask me, like, is there a space I can go to? Can I rent an office space for a day if I need to go out? Can I meet with team members and get together? And that is something we absolutely do encourage. But the biggest part of working remote, that while it does offer great autonomy and you can sort of schedule your day, and it's wonderful for stay-at-home parents or somebody or anyone who's taking care of another family member, but it's hard to keep that boundary of my day is done, because for a lot of people, their living room is their home office. It's not necessarily a space in the house. People have roommates, and things like that. Or sometimes it's hard to even get away to take a call because you have kids in the house. So you're hiding in the bathroom doing a conference call. So
you're going to admit to that. You're going to admit to the bathroom conference call.
Absolutely.
I don't think I've done that.
I've been there. I've done it all. But the thing is, for me, I always tell people you have to set your boundary. And that's hard for people to do, especially in this industry, because we're known to being so 24/7. But you set your own boundaries with a time, with a routine, and trying to have a specific area in your home that you are working and doing things like that. So it's like, that's what I really encourage for people to do is have a space, set boundaries, block off times, take those walks for no reason, or to walk your dog or to do those things like that helps sort of keep that on schedule, that you have an in and out of your day. That's what you want. You want to start and end your work day.
Does that seem realistic? Like when you hear Jess say, set boundaries and this and that, and we all have bosses, right? Whether the bosses are internally or we have clients, it's sort of hard to say, well, I know they're emailing me, but I've set my boundary. I'm just going to go ahead and ignore that and wait till tomorrow. I know they're close to firing us if we don't have, whatever. Like, these boundaries sound good. And then all of a sudden, okay, life sets in.
I think it is hard. I do think to be able to work remote successfully, you need to be really good at time management. And if you're not, it's probably not for you. Because you're not clocking in and out. You have access to your phone 24/7. So for me personally as a mom, like my boundary is I will not, I'll shut it off during dinner time and bedtime. Like the bedtime routine, I'm present with my kids. I don't want to be like on my phone answering Slacks and emails while I'm trying to read them a bedtime story. I think it shows a great example that I am a working mom, but at the same time, I don't want to set the example that I'm a workaholic and I'm not present with them. So you do have to find the balance. But yeah, it is easier said than done. I think a lot of transparent communication with your teams is key too. So a lot of times, like I've been pinged after hours and I'm like, hey, I'm feeding the baby or I'm putting my daughter down for bed right now. I can get to this later tonight. And that's just part of it. Like if I need to log off a little bit earlier to go pick my kid up from school or, hang out with her, go to a performance, whatever it is, like I will wrap it up at the end of the night or log on a bit earlier. So you just have to kind of get in the groove. And I think communication is key with your teams.
So I hear that and it sounds like you're a self-starter. You're organized. You can manage your time correctly. But my guess is Jess has experienced employees that can't figure that out, right? It's like, oh, I'm losing track of my schedule. One thing is going to derail me. I am at home and home might be multiple roommates. It might be a cramped apartment where it's loud outside or different scenarios. So what do you do with people like that, Jess, where it's like, hey, you're a good worker, but it's not clicking for you. Is that where you try to help them? Or you say, maybe you need to go get a job at a company that makes you come into the office? Is it, we have resources for you? Like, what do you do to help that person with their life?
We try different resources. There's definitely, like I said, do you want to, go into an office space, once a month, couple times a month for the day so that you can get out. There's those resources. I also, to Gabby's point, so much of it's communication with your manager, with HR, with like what your needs are. And if, specifically they are, there are also those times where you have to have that conversation that some people just work better getting up, getting into an office. That's their day. They shut off and come back. And there's nothing wrong with that. And as somebody, I've worked remote for many years now. And as much as I do love it, I do miss the in-person experience as well at times. And there is something to be said about getting in your car at the end of the day and listening to your music and driving home and having that 30 minutes or an hour to decompress because, when you're home, you're just walking to the next room and it's right there right after work. But I try to be very honest to say that this is being remote fully this way. This is what it is. That's not going to change where we are here. So you have to figure out what works out best for you. And it may not be a fully remote environment. And that's what a lot of people are learning, I'm noticing, in their early careers too. They're testing those waters and realizing I would rather be someplace else. My stress levels feel lower if I have this sort of setup, which is fine.
It's interesting because the remote thing goes across industries, right? Okay, there's PR as an industry, there's remote as a type of concept, but I feel like people are stressed out in both remote and in office. I feel like people are stressed out regardless of what industry they're in, right? You talk to doctors, lawyers, teachers, contractors, whatever it is, journalists, you name the job. I don't feel like I'm meeting someone in an industry and thinking, oh, everyone in that industry is totally fine. Right. So I wonder if it's something that's bigger. It's societal, it's cultural, it's national, more than it is a particular industry.
I think it's just, we get a lot of information coming at us, obviously, all at once, all the time. Any industry you're in, I think you're still expected to be on all the time. It is the cell phones, it's social media, it is all those things too, which that's something that I've also done for myself, where I'm like, I have to take a break from social media. I have to, even though we're in PR, not pay attention to the news for maybe a week, because you have to take that break. because I think it is so much beyond where you're working. It's everything else around us. And it's family responsibilities, or it's taking care of kids, or it's any of that. Or there's people who are now becoming parents to their parents. And that adds a whole nother level of stress, which is something that we also, take into consideration for people having to take time off. Like, yes, you have to do that. You have to take care of those things, but it is all coming at you at once. So I think it is larger a society thing and what's happening as well.
I think people who don't even work are super stressed out, right? Like people who are, let's just say, stay-at-home parents, they don't even have a job. And I think you're right. Like, my guess is, Gabby, when you think about social media and news and all this stuff, because I find the same thing. I find like the just having the phone on me stresses me out.
Yeah.
Reading the news stresses me out, because in any situation, it's like, we're all going to die, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's going to come kill us.
It's never good news.
Yeah.
There's never good conspiracy theories, right? Nothing's positive.
Everything's bad. And then the social media, whatever platform you look at, it's like, oh, everyone else has a better life than I do, right? Like, I feel like those three things wipe me out. I wonder what you think about that, Gabby.
No, it's so much of it is just comparison too. I mean, personal, work life, like everyone, it has an online persona, and that online persona is always rainbows and butterflies. We all know that's not the case. So even on LinkedIn, like it's just constant. There's just constant news, constant updates, and it's really hard to turn off. But I think like setting your space up to be like peaceful is really helpful. So I am lucky.
Talk about your space here. What's going on?
I'm lucky enough to have a home office, but like if I know I'm going to have like a crazy busy day full of meetings, like I'll make sure I light a candle, put on some music to really just like get me in a happy place. Because like it is your house, but try to make it as least stressful as possible.
What are you doing, Jess? I just see the copier printer thing back there.
I know. You know what? I'm in the middle of remodeling, actually. And I just recently, so that's why I explained, I have so many things to hang on the wall, but I recently repainted and I did a color drenching, and I'm decorating my office. I'm calling it my dorm room because I'm actually decorating it, not
like
around
a bunk bed in there or something.
It would practically, just because I wanted it to be less about, let me decorate what an office should look like. I was like, let me make this a fun place that feels like a warm hug for me. Just like Gabby was saying, where you can like light candles, and I have twinkly lights on my ficus tree, and whatever it is that just makes it, my office is pink and it's color drenched from ceiling to and I love it. And that brings me peace. And I love that too, because it is my space that I can do that. And I also love working outside. I'm fortunate enough to have a nice patio that I've worked outside a lot. And I find that is helpful as well. Just from that perspective.
I might need advice from you too, because I'm in the attic up here, and there's a guest bed behind this plastic wall I have here from Amazon, and there's just wires and stuff all over the place here that you don't see. And my wife, every time she comes up, she's like, I hate this room. I hate this room. I want you to change everything in this room. You just have equipment all over the place.
Yeah, that's like my husband's home office. It kind of gives me hives a little bit, because it's like, it's that sense. Yeah. It's like your nervous system reacting. So I'm a big believer too, that your nervous system contributes so much, obviously. Right. So if you're in a nice space that brings you joy, whether it is like with a lot of clutter, but if things that you love, or if it's just that's so huge too, because that just how you start your day, that you start your day with the house kind of in order, which is easier said than done, especially when you're a mother of two young children. And it's not easy for me with a 16-year-old and a husband, believe me.
That's like two young children. That's like the same thing.
This is like the same thing, but it's so much of it is just like making sure your nervous system's as calm as possible. And I do, it's those simple breathing exercises, meditating for 10 minutes in the middle of your day. It's these little things that sound so small and insignificant, but they do make an impact, because it lets you just stop and take a second and realize that the sky is not falling, and everything has a solution, and we can get there, and the day is going to get better. And we're in this moment. You're living in this moment of stress, and it's just a moment, is what I try to tell myself.
I'm like personally not good at meditating, but like for me, my version of that is just like walking outside of my office and being able to see my 8-month-old who's being, watched by a nanny here, which is amazing. Like I don't have to send her to daycare right away, but yeah, I agree. I mean, unfortunately for me, my aesthetic affects my mood so much. So like my house has to be like organized and clean for me to be able to work. Like I cannot concentrate unless everything is in order, but that's very much a me problem. I don't think a majority of people are necessarily like that, but for me,
I wouldn't call that a problem. That's not a problem. That's a preference, and I think it's a good preference. Yeah,
it's a quirk. It's a quirk of working from home because, you know, if you're working in an office space, like you can't necessarily control the aesthetic, but in your home you can.
Or at least you have control, right? Because think about it, in an office, you're a prisoner. It's just
Yeah.
this is what it is. There's nothing you can do about it. And good luck complaining to some facilities manager, you know, like this, that's going to go nowhere. Like, oh, it's too hot in here. It's too cold in here. Well, I don't know.
right.
You know, like the thermostat's under the plastic key lock thing. Like, no, you can't touch it.
Oh my God, yes, I remember those.
What about, so internally, I'm sure you have certain programs or features, there's you know, initiatives. What's going on within Bospar that either you're organizing, Jess, or like, you know, employees like Gabby come to you and say, hey, we need XYZ services for us. What are we doing internally to help promote mental health?
Sure. So, like I mentioned before, we are, you know, launching what we call is Bospar Balance, which is just our big umbrella of these things that we do around mental health and the well-being of our employees. And that comes with things that we have already going on, which is, you know, we have a monthly wellness stipend that employees can use towards anything. And that's, I mean, it's not, it used to just be gym membership back in the day, but it's literally now, like, if it's a meal, if it's a day at the spa, if it's a pair of shoes, we don't care. If it brings you joy and gets those endorphins up, have at it. We have what we call Feel Good Fridays, where, you know, if your schedule allows, you get to log off at 3:00 and sort of kickstart your weekend. Or that's also a good time to use to maybe to take appointments that you need to take, so you're not doing things over the weekend, because so many of us are, you know, you're working, and then the weekend is just working on the house. So it helps just get that, you know, going for you. And then we also have reimbursement to annual memberships to mindful apps like Calm, that helps with like guided meditations and things like that. And we have partnered with a couple wellness experts, one who is a holistic nutritionist and another who is a certified mindfulness teacher that has Dan Globus has joined with us, and he's done guided meditation, and we're going to have him come back regularly to do that. And then we also have Jackie, who came in recently to talk about how nutrition can affect your mental health and things that you can do. So those are all tools under that. And also, you know, we have wonderful benefits, and our employees that are signed on to our medical benefits have access to our mental health, which is access to psychiatry, therapy, if there's substance abuse issues, anything of that nature, that can be done. And that's also can be done, you know, not only in person, but, you know, via video as well. So we try to do all that as this one big umbrella of having everyone be able to have options to take care of themselves. Because as I said, I can't change the industry, but we can at least give people tools to help manage that.
That's a lot. Like when you hear all that, Gabby, what's your favorite one of those? Because I'm like you, I struggle with meditation. It's hard for me. I would much rather go for a walk and move, and I'm going to walk with no headphones, you know, or drive with no radio on. But the sitting there silently is hard. But I'm curious, which one of those you feel like, oh, that's the one for you?
Yeah, I mean, definitely our wellness stipend is a really great perk. Our benefits are amazing, especially with a family. Like, they're unmatched. And also, Jess did not mention, but we also have a really generous PTO policy too. And for mental health, like, I just got off a few days of vacation. Like, everyone needs to take advantage of all of these resources because it does contribute to your mental health. And I personally love the wellness stipend. I use it as an excuse to get my nails done, get a facial, go shopping. You know, it's nice.
It does. Yeah, it helps. You have to put that. Yeah, you have to put that there. And you're right. I did forget to mention our PTO. We structured our sick time policy this year differently too, where instead of it just being sick days that people just take, you know, you wake up in the morning and you're like, I don't feel well, or I just can't mentally handle today for whatever reason that is. We've now structured our sick time where you can take them, you can schedule them out even to use them for doctor's appointments, you know, whether it's for yourself or someone you're taking care of. And also we have things that are called like call in well day, which basically means you're taking a mental health day. Or we also have one that's an addition called heads down day, where, you know, you can work all day, you are working, but you're not responding to emails, you're not going on meetings so you can actually sit down, heads down, and not be interrupted and feel like you get through the day, because so much of stress comes from feeling like you can't get it done and you're on this constant hamster wheel. So sometimes just having that one day of I'm technically offline, but I'm working makes a big difference. Yeah.
That one I feel in my gut. I feel like that's the one that I resonate with, because I remember at one of my old jobs, one of my TV jobs, there was a reporter on the West Coast and I was in the New York office, and she said to the bosses, hey, I need a day to not be on TV. Like I need a day to catch up and do all this research work for all these stories I'm working on. And they just like laughed at her. And so what's the deal with this, person?
Yeah, no.
Don't you want to be on TV? She's like, I got work to do,
It came up for us too, because I've done it over the years where I've called in sick, and that was kind of a lie. I wasn't sick. I just wanted to be left alone so I could work. And that had happened that way. And I remember having that conversation with the principals, and that's how that other thing came in of like heads down day. It's like, well, let's give people the opportunity so that it's also not just last minute and teams can work around it, but they can say to their managers and supervisors, like, hey, I want to take this heads down day so I can handle this, this, and this, but I'm not going to be on these calls and do these things, because the principals were like, we don't want people having to do that. And that's interesting. It didn't even fathom them, but it happens because it feels like you almost have to hide to get your stuff done, and shouldn't be that way. But putting it out in the open and talking about it openly and saying, I need this. There's no weakness in that. That doesn't make you a bad, employee who's lacking. None of that. It's actually the opposite in my mind. You want to focus, you want to do good work, but sometimes that means having to shut out what's around you. So
yeah, so many days are filled with calls that sometimes it's really hard to just be able to like sit down and write pitches, or really stay on top of more of the account management side of the work outside of being on calls with your teams and clients. So it's so liberating on like call days, or just having a chunk of time to just check things off your to-do list.
Do you find that there's this multitasking going on? Because we're remote, we do a lot of Zooms, we do a lot of Teams calls, we have to see each other, but we don't really need that. I don't need to be in an hour meeting, right? Like I may only talk for 2 minutes, but we're all in this hour meeting, so everyone's checking their emails, and I think that builds a lot of mental stress. Is there any initiative to say, hey, you know what? Keep these meetings as short as possible, or try not to multitask. But if you're in 8 straight hours of Zooms, then you can't then start all your work at 5 o'clock. Like, how do you guys balance that?
I think there's a time and place for multitasking. I think on, majority of our client calls, you need to be present. Like it's really hard to be an active listener or talk intelligently on a client call if you're emailing and slacking about other clients during the call. Like it's pretty obvious. So I think there is a time and place for multitasking. If it's an internal and there's nothing to contribute on your side of the task, then that's a time where maybe you can start working on something else. But I think agency life is a lot of multitasking in general. Like we're dealing with a lot of different clients across different industries. So like we are kind of really great multitaskers, but there is a time and place, I think, where it's appropriate.
How do you compare? And maybe this is more of a Jess question. How do you compare, all right, Bospar's success in these initiatives or success with mental health, cultural progress? Do you compare that to other companies in the industry, or is it just on we're doing better than we used to do? What are there any metrics, or is it so much of a gut feel on that?
It's more of a gut feeling for me. I would say it's hard with metrics, with these things too. And also, Bospar itself has changed so much over the years. I started here, it was 30 something people, and it's grown so much. So it's different. You have to treat everything differently. But for me, I just measure it by how easily people are coming more to me now and expressing their needs and talking about it and being more open, which is just like the biggest theme for me with this, is that it's just not shame to talk about, and like putting in these activities and like, having the nutritionist come or the mindfulness teacher or anybody, the response I've been getting back is what I'm basing a lot on, where people don't just go through it and say, okay, we did that. I'm starting to get responses like, this is really great. We would love more of this. So it's that, or I just feel so much better just from having that meditation session for 15 minutes in the middle of the day. So that's how I base it on, is really just the feedback and organically. I'm a very organic HR leader. I like things to happen that way. So that's how I measure it, is that I just feel like people are more just straightforward on their needs and what's working and what's not working. And that's how I measure with that. And I've seen a nice uptick with what we've been doing.
Has there been a surprise in terms of, in the last couple of years, I'm getting a particular kind of question or concern more and more than I would have expected? Like, is there some sort of new trend in people are really bothered by something that I didn't expect them to be bothered by?
Oh gosh, that I'd have to think. I mean, I think to me, it's always typically this, you know what, this is hard for me to answer because I started at a time where mental health wasn't cared about as much at work, where it was literally like, shut up and do your job. Like, do your job. We don't care how late you are here.
If you don't like it, then you can quit or we'll fire you.
It's just, it's that. So it's like, it's me going through that transition has been very interesting because it was not the same. And even on maternity leave, it's like, yeah, you got it, but you are expected to come back and jump right back into it in an office.
It's the first day,
right. And it's like 9 to 5. And so much of that has just changed a lot, that when people will come to me and say, like, I still have these concerns about my stress, or this is still difficult. It is really difficult for me to not go say, you should have seen what it was 15 years ago. But that's, you can't do that.
You have a generational thing. Is there a little bit of like when younger people say, oh, I'm so stressed out, you're like, this is nothing from when I was
I have to, sometimes I hold back saying that, and I joke, and it's not me putting down. It's not me saying like, oh, they're weaker. I don't feel that in any way. I love working with the different generation. I love interviewing the different generations. I'm Gen X, and very much so. And I remember when the millennials were coming up, I was like, my God, these people are demanding so much. This is crazy. But because of them, I really feel millennials made the difference in working from home being a thing, boundaries being set. That was not done in my generation. We were just kind of like, yeah, no, we will abuse us. We'll abuse ourselves. We're masochists. Let's go. Like, that's how I feel it happened. But now it's more of, like it does keep coming, but it's less of a, I'm struggling with this. It's more of just like, this is what I expect. This is what I need to be able to function. I need to be able to shut down at a certain time. I need to be able to, as Gabby said, like, turn off my phone and be away during bedtime, during dinner time. So I would say it's less of people being stressed out more about certain things and more of them just really putting out there what they need and want, which is something that's changed over the years and the generations, I think.
Yeah, I'm a millennial. I agree with that. I would say even the Gen Z is very different in their like mindset. I do feel like they come with solutions though. And it's almost like they're a bit more innovative. And I don't know if it's because they were just brought up with like social media, like I technically was. It kind of started when I was in high school, but like they've had social media and like been able to be online almost their whole life. So like they're very tech forward. They're very innovative. They come with solutions. They know what they want. I feel like it is a different mindset generationally. I agree.
Yeah.
And they're definitely talking about mental health way more, even than I would say millennials.
Yeah, when we started, I'm millennial. When I started working, nobody was talking about that. That was just not. It's like, no, you just keep going to work and that's it. Like,
it's
like,
it wasn't. It wasn't crap.
Yeah, some people are going to crack. They're not going to make it.
Right. And which is unfortunate. It's not that it's unfortunate. I don't regret growing up the way that I did in the industry because, like, it gives you a thick skin and stuff. But sometimes I have to. For a while, I had to remind myself, like, this is a different generation. They are, it's good that they're coming with these concerns. It's good that they're demanding these things in the workplace. Even though my generation just didn't do it, or at least I wasn't. I was too afraid to say, hey, I'm stressed out. Can I have X, Y, Z? Because it was like, no, you just did your job. So I think it's good to have those conversations. But at the same time, we still have a company to run and things have to happen. So another part of it too that I see a lot here, and especially amongst, Gen Z and stuff, everyone really supports each other. And that's a big thing. It's the camaraderie that is so important, which is not the easiest when you're remote because you're over Zooms. And that's why we try to get together when we can. But you do see people really like hey, I see that you're still on Slack right now. What do you need? I'll step in and help you. So there's a lot of that that I see, which like really makes me feel good too, that I didn't see as much in my younger years in agency life. And I think part of that is having that understanding of mental health, being aware of the stresses that people are on, because people are more also just putting it out there, like that I'm a new mom, or I'm dealing with a parent who's going through dementia, or this person passed away, like whatever is going on. And people are talking about it more, so it's easier to even help each other too. So I find there's a lot of support here as well. And I would assume and hope that is across other agencies, just even as a generation thing. It's just a different generation. They're vocal, and I like it because I think that helps.
Yeah, and we even have a Slack channel called the Bospar New Mom Club.
Oh, there you go.
And so it is like an extra like community within the agency where we, complain, talk about the joys of parenting, share pictures of kids. So like we have that community, and we're able to like communicate about all of the life experiences we're going through.
Do you kick anyone out? It's like new moms only. You said new moms.
No, I'm on the verge of probably almost being kicked out because I have a 4-year-old, but like I finagled my way in for the 8-month-old. Like to consider myself a new mom still, but I'm probably the one that's probably going to get the boot next.
Is there at some level almost too much information coming at all of us? Because I feel like Slack, when we started, it was just email, right? Then it was email and text. And then all of a sudden, now we're adding in Slack. And all these things have started to add up. Is there ever a push to say, let's cut some of these out? Or is that just never going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about cutting it out, but sometimes like I don't really prefer texting about work unless I'm like on a vacation and I say like if there's an emergency or something super urgent, then text me, but I try to limit text and just keep it to like Slack and email. But yeah, it is a lot of information all the time where you're like, I got 10 Slacks to read after this meeting, or I'm 20 emails behind. Like it's a lot of different mediums coming at you at once.
Right. Like I'd rather have 100 emails than 20 Slacks and 5 texts and 3 calls. And I got to check this social thing. And, it's almost like the switching of platforms I find is mentally taxing for someone like me.
Yeah. And like I have refused to get on the new social media platforms like Threads as a millennial. Like I just cannot learn another one right now.
Same. I'm done. Me too.
Like I can't do another one. Like whatever. Twitter died, X, whatever. Yep. Fine. Like I'm still on Facebook. I just can't learn another one. I don't have the mental capacity to take that on.
That's how we become old. Then we become like the older generation. It's like, I just do phone calls. I don't text anybody. This will be our version of like, I write letters and do phone calls. Like I just do Facebook. That's it.
Yeah. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being the old person that doesn't want to do the new stuff. Honestly, I'm embracing that in my age.
Yeah, it's humbling.
It's okay. Something that's worked for me though, that I tell people if they can do it, and I, because we're so trained to be like, even though you're on vacation, you still have to be accessible. And it's something that I feel like we do to ourselves. I mean, it's just like, cause you have to be a good employee and be like, don't worry. You
can't show up a week later and be like, so what happened? I have no idea.
So
I didn't read
that is hard. And I do make the habit of like, the night before, if I can, start going through emails. But what I do on my phone is I take my emails, I take my Slacks, I turn off the notifications, I put the screens in a different, like I literally put the icons in a different folder rather, so that, you're always looking at your phone and it's habit. Because I'll open up my email on vacation without even, it's muscle memory. It's not even, what I found what happens to me is I literally like delete it from my phone. Because if the sky is falling, someone will text me. And 9 times out of 10, the sky is not falling. Not enough to text me anyway. So it's like, I tell people to do that. Just like take it off your phone for the 2 days or the week that you're on vacation. Because the stress will be here when you get back. That's not going away. So you might as well enjoy your time,
I like that. Go ahead. But I was going to say, if someone really needs me, they will find a way to get me.
They will find you. Yeah. And I know it's difficult because this is media and this is everything else. And it's all the time. And 20, you have to answer questions. But when you're on PTO And we're also trying to really streamline our PTO system and scheduling much better too, so that we don't have to have people working on skeleton crews and up all night because people are on vacation having to take calls. We're really trying to make an effort this year to make it so that doesn't happen, so that people who are on PTO can enjoy it, and the people who are working are not drowning by it all, so that there is that balance. But that's a self-discipline of being like, I don't have to look at my email. I don't have to. Like, you're almost creating this like self-importance, like, no, I have to. No, you don't. It's okay. Like, you really don't. And if Curtis wants to get in touch with you, Curtis will get in touch with you.
He'll find you.
He will find you. He knows all our phone numbers. So like, that's how I look at it. If it's not getting text, it can wait until I return.
Yeah, but it is honestly muscle memory. And I was like in line getting like a drink at Epcot, and I'm like opening Slack. I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah. I'm telling you, remove it from your phone. Like, you really can. And then you just download it back the second you get back. It's really, that's helped me a lot, because you can't help it. And then I start answering, and then then you get wrapped up in the thing, and it's not necessary. Yeah.
Agreed.
Before we go, I'll start with Gabby, then end with Jess. What would you like to see a year from now, right? Next May, it's mental health awareness again. What progress would you like to see within the company or in the industry, or yourself even, like, hey, I wish we could solve this thing or tackle this particular issue?
I don't know if we'll ever solve mental health. I think it is such a universal crisis that everyone deals with, but I think just continuing to talk about it and stop making it so taboo is a great step in the right direction. Like, I love that we're doing this. I love that we're talking about being a new parent, talking about the struggles that everyone is facing just in their own battles silently. And we shouldn't have to. So I think just continuing to talk about it and being open to finding solutions. And I think that Jess has really created a safe space for us to do that.
Yeah.
What about you? What are the next initiatives in Bospar Balance going to be, or the next big progress we're going to see?
I have to still come up with those, to be honest. But no, I mean, it's a continued work in progress, to be honest. It's what comes up, and sometimes a lot of things come up just because I do have a team member come to me and say, I'm struggling with this, or what do I do in this scenario? And that that'll pique the interest of like, oh, what can we build around this? How can we make this better for this person? So it's always ongoing. And I always tell people I am a safe place. I know that sometimes it's a little tricky because I'm HR. So, I'm here to protect the employees. I'm here to protect the company. But first and foremost, I care about everybody's well-being. Absolutely. And I'm so much of an empath that sometimes I get drawn into it and have to even set my own boundaries for my mental health, because I want to help and fix everybody. But what I want to see is just this continued conversation, people feeling comfortable saying their needs and their wants to have a healthy work environment. And then also just to have the honest conversation too, that you can say, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe this industry isn't for me. Maybe this agency isn't for me. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's no shame in that. That's not making anybody a failure, or they couldn't hack it. I hate when people use that term. Well, they just couldn't hack it. No, you have to do what's right for you. And you have to listen to yourself. And that's what I think I would like to see people do more of too. And we just continue to do as much as we can to support everybody in their needs. If that is extra time, if that is, I need to take a week off because I have to go take care of my mom in another state, or those things, like, we will continue to be flexible as much as we can with that. And I just want to see that continue to grow, and to have employees come to me and tell me their needs, that, they can come, they'll never get in trouble for saying anything. Can't promise that I can change things or create stuff, but I'm going to do my best. So that's what I would like to see continue. Just the open dialogue of that. Yeah.
I like it. The open dialogue is key. It's good that you've created a culture where at least people feel like they can come and talk about these things. Which is good.
Yeah. And we also have our mentor program, which helps with that too. Just having someone within the agency that you can turn to, that's not necessarily, HR or your manager or someone that's kind of overseeing your success. It's more of like a friend.
Right. Because that's the thing. It's you want to get out of the reporting structure. Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I need someone else that I can that can advocate for me or help me, but I don't owe them a deliverable. So at least I can be more open and honest with them. No, that's a good point.
I'd also love to see people just get together more if they can. I know for some it's difficult because obviously, you know, I'm in Jersey and Gabby's in Florida, so we're not exactly getting together for lunch. But I do find that even if it's just a couple times a year or whatever it is, people who even live near each other, work together, spend the day working with each other out of your home offices and have those moments, because I think a lot, or just get together for happy hours and things, because
let's all go to your patio.
We'll come to my patio, because I think it's also just so important for people to talk on a level of just like, that was a crazy day, or this was an insane week, and but right, that was, I'm not crazy, right? This is crazy. And I think it's okay to have that moment. You need that camaraderie so much, because that, like, just to continue to help each other, as I had spoken before. So I want to see more of that. My goal over the next year is to have more regional gatherings when we can, and when people start also at the company new and they're new hires, to just meet people face to face, because I think that brings down your anxiety a bit.
Even like once, I feel like if you can meet somebody one time in person, that's good for years if you have to. Yeah.
And it makes a difference. And I feel like it helps you get to know people and like, okay, I'm not in this alone. Like, and I'm not alone in feeling anxious. I'm not alone in feeling, you know, stressed out, or like I've cried too during the day, and then you come back and you go back to work. It happens. Okay. Like, people do it, and people get shocked when I tell them that. I'm like, of course I've cried during my career, during the workday. But it's, people need to hear that, like, you're not alone in it.
And I think like so much gets lost in translation over communicating like over Slack and email constantly, and even Zoom. Like, there's just something about being able to see someone in person and like their mannerisms and gestures. Like, there's nothing like that face-to-face interaction. And I feel like you will truly get to know your coworkers a lot better that way.
Awesome. Well, this has been fantastic. Thanks so much for spending this time with me, for both of you. I heard a dog barking. I don't know who needs to go walk the dog.
My daughter just came home from school. It's almost 5.
Let's get out of here before 5. Let's get dogs walked and kids fed and everything. Jessica, I really appreciate the time today. Thank you so much.
So fun. Thank you.
Thank you to my guest, and thanks for listening. Subscribe to get the latest episodes each week, and we'll see you next time.